Hello, welcome back to another repair video. This time I'm having a look at this Commodore 64. You might have seen this in one of my previous videos in which I triaged some Commodore 64s. Well, this is the one where I got confused about which bit was bit 6, and I was looking at my dead test chart. I'll show you. I have all sorts of handy charts blue tacked to my wall in different places for things that I often need. Stuff that I keep looking up, and then in the end I'll print it out and then just blue tack it to the wall. And I was looking at this and I went to bit 6. Well, it's not, it's the 6 flash codes. Bit 6 is over here and was indeed U24, which quite a few people pointed out to me quite rightly in the comments. Thank you very much. And U24 was also the one that was warming up on the thermal camera. I've got the thermal camera, you can see it's working. And let's get into it. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of this heat shield. I'm going to take the whole machine out of the case so that I can work on it more easily, because we're definitely going to have to replace U24, but I want to just go through the initial diagnostics again before I do anything else. Let's get this thing out of here. So that, well, it's nice and shiny on the bottom, but it's going in the bin. Right, so if I switch it on without any diagnostics involved at all, oh, this has a bad PLA. I know this for a fact. I've tested this in another machine, and in another machine, it just comes up with a blue, with nothing on the screen, just the two different blue colors. So I'm going to put in a good PLA. This is a GAL PLA, replacement PLA. Let's try it with that. Now we just get a black screen. So we head to diagnostics. What have we got? Yeah, we've got DES Test Max here, and that's telling us that bit 6 is bad, which is U24. And I'm just going to try dead test as well, which gives 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 flash. 2 flashes is bit 6, so it's U24 as well. But what happens if I just run the normal diagnostics? Nothing, a black screen. Well, it wasn't doing that previously, actually. I wonder if, no, this is probably going to do exactly the same thing as DES Test Max. It's just going to show us bit 6 is bad. So the first thing we need to do is change U24, put a new chip in there, and then work from there. I do know that this CIA is bad as well. I've tested that in another machine, and that's bad. I've tested this chip, this ROM in another machine, and this chip at U8, and I've tested that in my test machine, and that one is okay as well. I can't test the SID. The SID is soldered to the board, which is really mean, Commodore. Why would you do that? So we're going to take out U24. If anybody knows where I can buy one of these fabled drill bits for not too much money, because Hakko do charge you a lot of money for their accessories, so a hand twist bit that would fit in this would be ideal. I think I might actually have something. Let me just check. No, if I had something, it's gone. It's long gone. Now I've got a proper blockage here. And I'm putting this down to Commodore's horrible insistence on chopping the legs, the pins off on the back of the board and leaving half of them there. And these end up wedged inside the tip of my desoldering station. And that is really blocked. That's irritating. There we go. on 500 degrees. I could hear the board screaming in pain. Didn't do any damage. Singed it a little bit. Let's let that cool down. Right, chip's out. Let's get it in the tester and see if this one is broken. I'm fairly confident this one's broken. Yes, immediate red lights. So now we need a socket and a new chip. It's a replacement chip. Yep, that's a good one. Right, let's try that. DesTest Max still in. It's testing. Oh, that doesn't look right. But I know we have a bad CIA in here. So let's take that out, put in the standard diagnostics and see if that does anything different. Right, okay. So before, when I was getting a display on diagnostics, the screen was corrupted. But if you notice at the bottom there, the CIA timers are not, they're not counting up. And that actually felt like I was influencing that by touching something. I want to take that CIA out. It doesn't need to be in there. I know it's faulty. Something else is wrong here. Let me give the cartridge port a spray of contact cleaner. Just to try to rule that out. It shouldn't be causing a problem. It looks okay. There's a hint of slight corruption happening, but not persisting. So it's running through the DesTest Max. Let's try DesTest Switch. This won't show the correct checksum for the ROMs, for one of the ROMs, because I've got a faulty chip still I haven't replaced on here, on the DesTest Max. So that's something I need to do. Oh, it is showing all of the right checksums. Well, that's good to know that the ROMs are okay. This is going to take a little while, so I'm just going to let that run, and I'll skip to the next part. That's passed completely. So at this point, I know that the RAM is all good now, and probably the addressing for the RAM is good. So these multiplexers I know are good. I'm suspecting this PLA socket might be a problem, but it seemed to go wrong when I moved the whole machine. It could have been that socket. So let's try going back to diagnostics now that Matt Desmond has given us a clean bill of health. There's still something horribly wrong there. So let's put in, I think I've got a CIA handy. Let's put in a good CIA in here. It's a horrible socket. Take this out and see what happens. Do we get anything? We do. Interesting. So, do we get anything on diagnostics now? Yes. So was it just because it didn't have that second CIA in? All right, I'm going to let that run through. Do you know what? I'm not. I'm going to switch it to that one. No RAM check, so because I know that the RAM is okay. This is good. Can you hear this? Yes, we have a really good SID chip. Excellent. Well, this is fixed. The only thing I need to do now is connect up the test harness to it and make sure that everything else is okay. I'm just going to give the edge connectors a little clean. There we go. Yes. Looking good. CIAs are counting up together. And that works as well. So this had a bad CIA and a bad PLA and a bad RAM chip. So it wasn't too bad in the end. PLAs don't cost very much. The CIA is probably the most expensive part of this repair. But everything has been salvaged from other Dead C64s, so it's not cost Paul anything in the long run. Well, I suppose it did cost him something in the long run because he had to buy the machine that this got its parts from. Let's put this back in its case, test the keyboard, and then sign it off as fixed. What we got in terms of case, no case clips on this one, so I'm going to have to fix those. Ugh, I don't like fixing case clips. They're better now because I've got better case clips, but I still don't like fixing them. Yeah, the keyboard needs a clean. Yeah, there are a few keys that they're not, everything's working, like number 2 is, well, number 5 is working half the time. Yeah, so that needs a clean. Let's do that. Before I go too far, I need to remove the wires from the shift lock. While I'm here, I'm just going to clear these holes. Ready for when I put it back together. All right, and a million screws. I love that you can take a Commodore 64 keyboard apart and all of this stays together. It's a really, really easy and nice thing to work on. Right, so we have gold contacts inside here. They're not graphite ones, so these are really nice and easy to clean. And I'm going to do this using Kimtech wipes, Kimtech tissues, which are really high quality cleaning tissues, and some IPA. I'm not being particularly gentle. I'm giving these a good scrub. There's oxidization on each of these pads that needs to come off. And the pads are made of gold, and a paper wipe will be abrasive to them, but I do need to remove the oxidization. and the general years of build-up of dirt, this amount of wiping is not going to cause any issues with a gold contact like this. Not with a gentle wipe like gentle tissue like this. A piece of paper might cause a little bit more abrasion, but these are quite gentle. There we go, that's done. The next bit that needs to be done, and this is probably equally the problem here, is the contacts in here. Now, some people say you should be careful with these graphite pads, but they're impregnated with graphite, which is all the way through them. So it's not, I don't think it's a big issue if you start to abrade the top. You've still got just as much graphite going all the way down. So I don't think it's a big issue if you give these a good wipe with a Q-tip. Again, I want to make sure that I remove all of the dirt. This isn't applicable to all of these graphite conductors. Some of them you do have to be very careful with. For instance, the graphite pads that you get sometimes on a Commodore 64 keyboard instead of these gold ones, they're quite fragile. You shouldn't rub those with too much abrasion, otherwise you will end up wiping it away. There we go. The last thing I do cleaning a keyboard is to give it a wipe down with some contact cleaner. Just to help prevent further oxidization. All right, let's put it back together and see if I made it worse. There we go. Wasn't clicking on, there's lugs to position this, the PCB, and it wasn't clicking into place. I'm just going to put back enough screws to test it with. Right, number 2 was a bit dodgy. Number 5 was a bit dodgy. It's absolutely perfect now. That's the bottom half done. The only thing I need to do now is fix these case clips. The first thing to do is just to cut these bits off here. Just actually cut my finger with the snips. Oh, I cut myself as well. So here are my case clips. They're 3D printed. These are quite different to the old ones. They've got like a groove inside, and when I've adjusted them as well so that they fit better inside these slots, because the old ones just wouldn't fit between these two pieces here. So the first thing I need to do is to smooth out, there's like ridges down here, so I need to get a file and smooth those out, but also to scratch up the surface so that the glue can have a purchase, something like that. Got my bamboo skewer and the last of my Gorilla epoxy. I think I've got another tube on the way. Yeah, I've got a new tube up there, so I'm not running out. No need to panic. Give them a good mix up. Smells of farts. I like to use these G-clamps to give it a little bit of... Clamping is a huge part of binding two surfaces together. So I'm putting some tape on the back here just to protect the plastic from the clamp. Apply some glue into the grooves and a little bit actually on the surface in here as well. I have to line up the edge of this with the edge. Oh, I don't want glue on that edge. So I've got to line the top edge up with, there's a lip inside here, and I don't want to go too low. You can go a little bit lower, it's not going to hurt it. A bit of adjusting before I tighten it fully. Do the other two even. Right, that's that. I'm going to put this to one side for 24 hours. I will probably add in a little bit of footage after this is fully set of me putting this back together. It's the next day, and all of the glue is nice and solid. You can see just underneath, you might not be able to see, but I can see just underneath where it's run out of the bottom, because epoxy resin doesn't like to stay in one place, especially if it's like this. It will just run straight down, and where it's run out of the bottom a little bit there, it's rock solid. So it's not quite 24 hours, but this is 5-hour epoxy resin, so I'm just gonna go for it and take off the tape as well. No damage. The miracle of blue tape. Literally infinite uses. Now, I did notice that these two are pretty much spot on. Maybe a little high, but this one may be a little low. So it might be a tricky fit. Oh yeah. The one that's low is, I think, is broken. Yeah, it's flexed out a little bit, but it's still in there. There's a little bit of play on those two. Well, you can never, these are so hard to get exactly right. Oh, the cable's in the way. They're still all solidly on there. They're so well glued, and the PETG is such a strong material. Right. The final task. Yeah, that's really good. Once it's together, there's no plate. It's perfect. And these are never, you can never get these exactly right, because all of the cases are slightly different. There are different molds. There are different types of case clips, and there's different spacing between them. It's a nightmare trying to get one case clip to fit all of them. Is just impossible. So you You get it so that it fits well enough to hold the case together without breaking. And that is what that's done. It's not moving anywhere. Perfect. And it does help that this one's got 3 good screw posts underneath. So that one's done. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a simple but fun fix. I'd already done most of the diagnosis in the triage video, so it wasn't too much work to do, but it was still enjoyable to fix it. And it's always good fun fixing a Commodore 64 and bringing it back to life. But yeah, this one will be for sale on Paul's, I don't know how he sells them anymore. Probably out on a barrow out the back of his house. This one will be for sale soon in some form or fashion. Keep an eye out for it. No case badge. I'm sure he'll put one on. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. PLA plus CIA plus RAM case clips fixed, keyboard cleaned. Dunsky.